Disobedient to parents. Oh, we don't have that problem in America, do we? Disobedient to parents, rebellious against parents, indifferent to rule and order, irreverent. You know, the Bible says that it gives one promise with one commandment with a promise of long life. That's obeying your parents. Now, God has a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. I don't think He said that that's the only commandment with promise. I don't think that's the only commandment that He says that if you do that, then you'll live long. I don't think He said that because, you know, if you disobey your parents, they're going to kill you. like back in something we were talking about last Sunday. You know, you didn't play that. You know, some stuff you didn't play with. My mama Vermeil back here. There's some stuff you didn't play with Vermeil. I mean, you just didn't do that stuff. If she thought you was thinking about it. And of course, she came from the school of Lalame. My grandma. And you showed him, Lalame showed him play some things. And so, you know, back in that day, at school, if you got a spanking in school, if you did something to deserve a spanking in school, you prayed to God Mom and Dad didn't find out about it. Because if they did, you get another spanking when you got home. So you prayed they didn't find out. You got and I got my fair share of spanking in school. But you prayed that Mom and Dad didn't find out about it. Now it's a different world. Now, if you know, the principals, teachers, they can't even threaten you with a paddle and hard. And if they do, the parents get all over them and want to come up, so want to slam lawsuits on all this kind of stuff. In my day, they had permission to spank our tail. The parents gave them permission to do so. And I have to say, I don't remember not one spanking I got at school I really didn't deserve. I really didn't earn, you know. And but disobedient parents, that means they're irreverent. They're indifferent to rule and order. Well, listen, a lot of that's to blame on parents this day and time. Parents and grandparents, because we've got a lot of grandparents now raising their grandchildren, and they won't discipline them. And then the kids grow up, you know, to be teenagers, to be wild or rambunctious, rebellious teenagers, and to start going off the chain crazy. And then the parents and grandparents will sit there and scratch their head. Well, I just don't understand. I just don't understand why they're getting all this trouble. I just don't understand why they just... Well, look back to when the kid was small enough and you could just paddle that fanny. Now, I ain't talking about abusing kids. Everybody with common sense knows I'm not talking about abuse. Like me and Mom was talking the other day. God put padding back there for a reason. I never struck my kids in the face. I never hit them about the head because that wasn't what it's made for. That's right back here. Plenty of padding. It won't break no bones. It might leave a bruise every now and then or something, but most of the time when you leave a bruise, if you're using a belt or using your hand or something like that, then, you know, that's what it's back there for. God put plenty of padding back there for the rod of correction. Amen. And so we're not talking about abusing kids and abusing children, but we are talking about correcting them when they need it. If that'll take place when they're young, a lot of these other things, I'm not saying you won't have a rebellious, I'm not saying it's going to eliminate it, but I'll tell you this, it'll make a world of difference in your children. Amen. I can tell you, I mean, you know, my kids ain't perfect. But they have never caused me the grief and pain and agony that a lot of teenagers and kids have caused their parents. Now, we had some time. We had our seasons. Don't misunderstand me. They weren't perfect. Still ain't. But we had our time. But I'm telling you, I've never had the grief and heartache to a large degree that many parents have had with their kids. Anyway, got to move on. Disobedient parents, he addresses that, and it means indifferent to rule and order, irreverent. Verse 31. They were without understanding. That's what that undiscerning, word undiscerning means. Without understanding. Conscienceless and faithless, heartless and loveless and merciless is the Greek extension of that verse. Without understanding, undiscerning, ignorant, and destitute of capacity for spiritual things. Stubborn is what that Greek word means. Without understanding. ignorant, destitute of capacity for spiritual things. We're in a day and an hour. I mentioned a few Sundays ago, I think it was, that Paul said, what? Over in 1 Corinthians. Do you not know that you shall judge angels? He said, matter of fact, he said that we would sit on thrones and judge sinners as God's people. That's why I said the other week, look here, if you're calling somebody on a particular sin they're committing, because you love them, and because you want them to change their ways, you want them to correct that and live a life for God, and they say, you can't judge me. You ain't got no right to judge me. Judge not lest ye be judged. That's the only verse. That's the only verse of Matthew chapter 7 they know. Probably the only verse in Matthew that they know. Verse 1, chapter 7. Judge not lest ye be judged. They don't bother to read the rest of that passage in context where Jesus goes on to say there's certain discernment and judgment you have to use. They don't bother to read all that. But when they look at you, they say, you can't judge me. You can look back at them and say, oh no, not right now. But you keep on going like you're going, one day I may be sitting on a judgment seat in front of you. Because Paul said that in 1 Corinthians. We would judge saints. He said, as a matter of fact, he was getting on the Corinthians because he said, how is it you're going to want that as a child of God, you're going to sit in judgment over people one day, and you can't discern among these little small things. You can't understand and have that discernment about these small things, small matters. He said, what? That's when he said, what? Don't you know that one day God's going to establish you as a judge over angels? And as a matter of fact, I think if you really read that verse correctly and in the right context, I believe that Paul was even taking it a step further, just didn't go beyond. I think he's addressing the here and now. Like I said before, as a pastor, I have a responsibility and obligation to judge every spirit that comes through these doors. But you know what? I'm not the only one that has that responsibility. The body does. We had that responsibility to judge those. The Bible says, try the spirits. That's what angels are. Good, bad, pretty, or ugly. Try the spirits, whether they be of God or not.